Hey friends,
Morning.
welcome back. How was your week? Love to let us know.
How was your week?
Oh, you beat me to it this
Yes, I
week.
did.
Long. It was just long.
Yeah.
How was yours?
Um, well, I would say mine was ups and downs,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to err on the side of more good than bad. I think it was probably about even, but we're
We're
just gonna
gonna
we're gonna
tilt it slightly.
choose to believe it was more good than bad. Yeah, it was a little bit harder week.
Yeah.
But you know,
What are you gonna do?
keep going.
So,
Gotta keep going.
yeah, just keep going. What are you gonna do? You can quit? Can't quit. I guess I'm gonna move you just a little closer. So before we jump into anything about today, first we'll introduce ourselves, and then I've got a little unfinished business from last week. So I am Katie. I am the daughter of the mother-daughter duo.
And I am Patty, and I am the mother of the mother daughter duo.
We are the Rustic Girls. So welcome. We're so glad to have you here with us, whether it's your first time or you've been here for every single one. Um, and we're excited to see this channel grow. So if you are enjoying our chats, go ahead and like and subscribe.
And just one thing, I mean, obviously, if you've already found us, you're already here. So, but if you're wanting to share with your friends, just because I was trying to find us and I kept finding Rustic Girls,
Mm,
which is like our really old stuff. And I'm like, where is all of our recent stuff? And I realized this this channel is the Rustic Girls, and the
oh shoot.
old one is Rustic Girls.
I have to
It's
go find
stuff
that
from
one.
like a billion years ago. Because I'm like, where is it?
It's funny.
So I'm
I
wondering
couldn't
if
find our own
that's
chat.
why
Mm-hmm.
um,
People having a hard time a
people
little
were
bit.
having a
Yeah.
hard
I'm gonna have to
time.
go look for it. I couldn't find our old channel, and so we did this one. And our old channel was exclusively. We used to go live on Facebook all the time, in conjunction with our shop, and I started downloading and uploading them to YouTube.
I feel like we're
So
really like washed out today.
we are a little bit. It's just too dark. Okay, guys, we're gonna play the.
Well, if we
Beep.
there,
I feel better. It was really dark before, so I was trying to up it a little bit. Anyways, so unfinished business from last week. We were talking about honoring loved ones that have already gone. And I referenced us doing this tea for my grandmother, and that I would pop up a picture in the video. And then the day got on, and I was like, oh shoot, I forgot to upload the video. And I quickly throw it up. And it was about 6 hours later that I realized I never added the photo. So here it is. That was our tea social whiskey. Come on, baby. Really? Come on, cat. That was our tea social we did, just to honor my grandma who'd gone beyond. And then we have, just last night we celebrated the grandma on my husband's side. So yeah, it's going good so far. I think it's going to be a really
mm-hmm.
cool thing to do this year. I'm
Yeah,
excited for all the other ones coming up. But today we wanted to talk about who we were, because we realized we've never really done like a
yeah.
Who's the Rustic Girls YouTube video. So yeah, we're gonna dive into that. If you guys have questions or comments, just drop them throughout, and we'll do our best to respond as quick as possible. And like I said, that's always been our goal. I don't know if I said it today, but our goal is to be able to start going live with you guys. But we
Mm-hmm.
just got to get those uh, hours and follows up to be able to do that, and then we'll be able to do live chats, which are so fun.
Yes.
But until then, we're doing the videos. So do you want to maybe start us off at the beginning?
Wow. So, um, like the pre-rustic beginning, or just
Yeah, like our like journey to Rustic.
okay. Wow. So that goes way back, to your teen years,
Mm-hmm.
and we started. I started doing kind of the craft show circuit. I say circuit, but like it wasn't. We just went to some craft shows. Um, but we started crafting together,
Mm-hmm.
and um, we created a little logo with handprints. Patty Kate Creations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we did that for a little bit, and then
My cat is
so there's
just
the
being a
cats.
pill this morning.
Um, there's such distractions.
Yeah.
Um,
So we did Patty Cake Creations, and we decided to make it official.
yeah.
We'd done some markets, we decided to make it official, so we made Patty Cake Creations,
Mm-hmm.
labels, and then the market circuit promptly dried up.
Yeah.
So that would have been early 2000s,
Yeah.
very
Mm-hmm.
early 2000s.
And then in
12.
2012, my mother-in-law passed away, and my father-in-law um, would come to our house every Sunday for family dinner, and oh, stop, buddy! Um, he would come to our house every Sunday for family dinner,
He's
and he
fine.
would
It just
always
scared him.
bring one or two boxes. He was cleaning out the house, and so he would bring us these boxes of treasures, and some of them were, family heirlooms that we wanted to keep, but rapidly it became more things because a lot of them weren't family heirlooms. My mother-in-law, like us,
Like
loved
to thrift
to
and
thrift,
yard sale,
yeah,
and buy pretty things.
and so she had amassed a lot of stuff, a lot of really cool stuff, and so I feel like I'm taking the long route here. Um,
You want me to jump in here?
Go ahead and jump in.
I got you. I got you. So that was spring of 2012.
Yeah.
And in November of 2012, I was getting married, and my mom had found this really cool antique thrift home decor shop called Sassafras, and had been going there a little bit, and they had a spot open up, and so she approached me in the month before my wedding, a week
And
before
by
my wedding.
spot, I mean we're talking. It was a tiny little spot.
Yeah, it was like a.
But it was a great
5 by 5,
maybe,
or,
yeah.
It was little. But anyway, a space had opened up to be a vendor, and so that was actually, I believe, the week before my wedding.
Yeah, when it
and you were
opened
like,
up, yeah.
would you want to do this with me? And we'd always kind of wanted to, but it just not worked out. And I was like, yeah, except I'm getting married, so you're on your own for at least the first month. And so she did. She went and set it up, and got us going in Sassafras, and
started social media,
started our social.
And that was, we had settled on Second Glance.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it was all about redeeming. It was really, I don't think we thought of it in the redeeming yet, but in giving lost things a second look, giving them a second chance, second glance.
Yeah, so that started, and it took off. The Lord blessed it in abundantly. We quickly grew and grew and grew into bigger and bigger spaces until we actually, at one point, had multiple spaces.
And I was working in the shop for, I don't know, 2 or 3 days a week at that point. And then it changed hands, and we moved. And then to bigger space.
Yeah, and so then we had a couple of big spaces, and it was, we were consistently one of the best sellers. It was doing really good. But what we found is we had run out of space to do work. We were home sharing at the time,
and our hoard of stuff.
If you've ever been in the antiques business, it's a lot of picking things up and piling up and then processing and selling it. And so there was just a huge backlog, and there was just no room to work. And so we started looking for maybe a space to rent that we could also work in. And we settled in our small town of Granite Falls, Washington, and there was actually on Main Street, because it's one of those like small towns. It was very dead. It didn't really have, and so there's this building that had been sitting vacant, and we thought, oh, this is perfect. We'll make it like 2/3 workspace, and we'll just have a tiny little shop in the front, and maybe we'll be open like a day or two a week,
Because
That'll
at
be
that
fun.
point, we were still doing really well
Yeah,
in the shop we were
in
in.
Sassafras. Yeah, we were doing incredible. And so um, we quietly opened our doors early December of,
20.
I was pregnant with Violet, so it'd be 20. We opened in 20, no, hang on, guys. I just said Violet at that market. So it'd be 2015.
Okay. Yeah, that
So
would
in
be right.
2015, we quietly opened our doors and it just started growing.
Mm-hmm.
People started coming in, and at the same time, God clearly shut the door as vendors,
Mm-hmm.
because we went from being one of the best sellers to one of the lowest sellers month after month, and
Mm-hmm.
we weren't doing anything different. We were still coming in, we are still working the space, and so we just recognized the shift, and we started pushing the walls back.
Yeah.
Our little shelf wall that we had built for working got pushed farther,
And added a couple more days open there.
mm-hmm, and made the shop a little bigger and then a little bigger until got to the point we had no room in the back of the shop again. We're back to square one. No room to work, all the room to sell. And so that would have been in probably 2017.
When we were, yeah. And yeah. And I think one interesting detail is the day we were moving into that space, there was a space across the street that shop was closing. They were moving out, and that space sat vacant for a year. Now, mind you, it was not even on our radar. We were so excited to be in this space, and again, having our own shop wasn't something that was on our
Wasn't our goal,
wasn't our goal, wasn't our plan.
but it's where the Lord led.
But it was just interesting because a year later we had outgrown that space, and we started thinking, okay, maybe we need something bigger. And we were standing there talking one night and looking across the street, going,
Maybe.
maybe.
It was about double.
Yeah.
Double the square footage for the shop.
Right.
And that had a garage space and a back workroom. So it was significantly more space.
Yeah.
So we ended up pulling the trigger and moving across the street, which in Rustic Girl style didn't mean loading cars and driving. It meant loading things up on dollies, walking up the street to the crosswalk, going across, coming down.
And when it was something that we could just hand carry across, we just went straight across.
Yep. Yeah. And so we moved into that space and, quickly grew and filled it up. And the Lord blessed that for many years. In fact, even to the day of its closing, it was doing well.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a chapter that had to close for then. Mm-hmm. So we'll get to that though. We moved into the new space. And I think that's when we really started to have a vision of creating community there.
And I think we kind of skipped where our name changed because that was back a little ways.
Whoops.
That was when we were still in Sassafras. That was when we decided.
That's true.
I
think we were finding ourselves
mm-hmm.
as business owners and finding like what we wanted to be.
Yeah.
And so at that point, you're right. We did swap names, and we became Rustic Redemption, New Life for Lost Treasures.
And I think that's when we really invited God into our business too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we really started being more vocal about it. Mm-hmm. That this was about honoring Him, and the message of new life and redemption mm-hmm. was the same principle that God had given us new life and redeemed us, and so we were using that principle in our business, in the things that we purchased and the new life we gave to it and saved it from being just destroyed in the landfill or whatever, and also in the ministry aspect of we had people come through our doors that we prayed with, and talked with, and um, that really started growing.
Well, and again, I so many of the things that happened, they were again not on our radar, not
Mm-hmm.
something that we had this vision of this is what we want for our
Mm-hmm.
business. It was like God just started opening doors.
Mm-hmm.
It became a place of, through those opportunities of women coming through our doors, other women, either wanting to start a business or just getting started. Some of them we brought came in as consigners.
Mm-hmm.
Again, something we hadn't really thought about doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, kind of God really showing us that He was using us to be encouragers,
Mm-hmm.
um, and um,
Mentors of,
mentors. Yeah.
woman, and inspiring. And that's, I think, as we shift into that new space, that was kind of the vision we were catching, was that it was meant to be something that was community building, and it was meant to be about building up women and loving them well, and um, encouraging their creativity.
Mm-hmm.
We firmly believe, and we've said this before, that all women, all people are given
Mm-hmm.
creativity.
Absolutely.
And it's just about how you express it,
Mm-hmm.
and finding that, and finding your voice. And
Finding your
so,
confidence and
yeah. And so
your
that was,
voice.
young business owners. So in the sense of being new,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, encouraging them, mentoring them, and being like, you can do this. And we got to see them grow up, and many of them chose to, grow up and then
Mm-hmm.
spread their
Mm-hmm.
wings and try something new. And um, but also in the community sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it was during those years there we started doing workshops,
Mm-hmm.
and then creating the Rustic Girl community, or the
Mm-hmm.
Rustic. It developed into the Rustic Ladies,
Mm-hmm.
but
Started as the barn loft.
started as the Barn Loft, and just kind of shifted through the years. And then in 2020, the Lord started calling me my husband out of state. And so by the end of that year, I dissolved my ownership in the business, and it became Patty carrying the torch,
Mm-hmm.
which she continued to do for a few years. And
Mm-hmm.
the community side really flourished during that time, especially.
Mm-hmm.
It just became a really sweet space. And then, well, before we go to the end of Rustic Redemption, is there any thoughts you had during that season?
I just, I just remember, um, like you said, the community,
Mm-hmm.
and just seeing people coming together. And, um, we never were, um, you know, we, we always had, you know, um, faith-based signs and things like that. And when opportunities presented themselves to talk to people or to pray with someone.
Mm-hmm.
But I just remember,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many times that people would come through, and they would just be wandering. The other thing is music. We always had, I mean, except when we had technical difficulties, but even then we tried music. And then it wasn't always 100% Christian music.
Mm-mm. It was a
It
mix
was a
of some
mix.
worship and
And
classic, and
but never once in all those years did I know there was people that came through that um, could have been offended, or um, never had anyone ever say
no,
anything,
no one ever.
ever critiqued or criticized. But what did happen is I had people say, I don't know what it is about this place.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel at peace here, or
Mm-hmm.
I just feel so comfortable here, or people would start talking. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, some people will sit down with their hairstylist or their
Yeah.
bartender or whatever, and they'll start spilling their, and they're like, I don't even know why
It's
I'm
definitely
telling you all
therapists
this,
happening.
but,
Oh, for
or
sure.
they, would, something traumatic would happen. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
had people come through just like, crying because something had happened, and it gave opportunity for conversation. And it became so evident to us through those years because we didn't know what we were doing. We were learning as we went, and
Yeah.
we were we were terrible business owners in that sense,
We were
right?
never wildly profitable.
Yeah, we were never wildly profitable, and but all those confirmations that God gave, like that
We were supposed to be.
we were supposed to be there. This is what we
Mm-hmm.
were supposed to be doing. That kept us going.
Mm-hmm.
And we kept, whenever we would hit those bottom points where we felt like we just can't do this anymore, it's not sustainable. I mean not very many people knew, like, except when we hit those, like,
Rock
we're gonna
bottom.
have to close the doors. um it, like, what a struggle it was.
Mm-hmm.
The things, and I mean, small business is not for the faint of heart, even
Mm-hmm.
when you do have, like, a plan. But God always sustained us, and I think that's the thing that my big takeaway is
Mm-hmm.
just, you know uh, just all those relationships that were built, the friendships. I mean, the friendships, not even the friendships we made, but seeing
The
women
friendships
come
that
together,
blossomed within the
and
store.
that, yeah, within the store, that they were strangers,
Mm-hmm.
and they came together, and
Yeah.
now they're friends, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just
Yeah.
sweet.
So that was, yeah, it was a very sweet season. Um, and then come 2023, the end of 2023, somewhere on there, would be when you guys started praying about dad's early retirement.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
So
2023. It was over
at
the
that
holiday
point,
season. Yeah.
yeah, over the holiday season, they came to the decision that it was time to just be done with working and to enjoy the time together. And so they Rustic closed early 2024, which was a very, very bittersweet.
Mm-hmm.
It was saying goodbye to a lot of things,
And it was so abrupt. It was very sudden.
Yeah.
I mean, we made that decision over our holiday closure.
Yeah.
And we only told kind of our insider group, like, after the holidays, and a couple months we closed the end of May.
Yeah.
So it was fast.
Yeah.
Um,
and I think just for me going into that, it was, walking away originally, it was, I think, I think I'm going to break this into our thoughts about the business as a whole and our takeaways at the end, so it doesn't get too murky.
okay.
So I'm going to share mine. And I think for me, the business was not something I'd set out for. But being a stay at home mom, I did struggle with that initial transition from working to not working. And this became a creative outlet, and it became a place of finding, it was so fulfilling and gratifying. I mean, you change your kid's butt, they don't usually say thank you.
No.
You do the dishes and the sink just refills. And Rustic was a space where I could go and create pretty things. That was a heavy focus on ours. It was an experience. It was all about the experience. Because we firmly believe if you are shopping local, you're not doing it for the good prices, because we can't beat big box. When you shop local, you're shopping local because A, you have a heart for your community, but B, because it's a better experience. It's more personal. And so for us, it was all about creating vignettes that were just beautiful and would pull you
The
in.
sights, the smells.
It was about
touches.
the smells. It was about, the touching, the seeing, the hearing with the music, having samples or hot cider or coffee. And so, it was it was a beautiful environment. It was fun to be in. It was fun to create it. And it didn't get all messed up. It just stayed pretty. And people coming in, and you get to, ring them up, and you get to talk to them, and they like make real conversation. And so it was a very fulfilling thing. But if you've ever been a small business owner, you know it is like having another baby, except this baby wants more attention. And that was something, I constantly was feeling that pull to between the two. And more often than not, I think I was leaning towards the business because it was more fulfilling for me. And so my kids were definitely getting less than they should have, in regards to just that nurturing and that attention. And it's like they were always cared for, but you know, you know. And so, when it came time to move, that was one of those things I felt like God was really saying, like, this is not initially forever, but for now, this chapter is closing for you. And that this season is going to be about your family, about your kids, about your husband. And so moving away was good. And I think I really found a lot more balance. But I was able to stay on as an admin for Rustic. And so I didn't have to fully walk away. I could still visit and play shop and all the things. And so it wasn't until you were closing that it was like, okay, now it's really goodbye. It's goodbye to all of it. And that was hard. It was hard saying goodbye to something we built that had become so special. It was so special to our hearts, but it also was to other people. And, honestly, we have all the signage because my dream someday is to open Rustic again wherever we are and do the same thing of creating community, creating a beautiful space for people to be in. But although our business venture is closed for now, I think that our heart has still been to still find ways to pour into people. I know mine has, and, for you, and you just need time off, right? Because when you're in the public eye for so long, I mean, it got to the point where, like, I was recognized when I was out with my family and stuff, and it's kind of cool, but it's also a little bit like you just feel like you're always there for everybody else, and your life's on display because we're being real, we're being honest, we're inviting people in, and I love that, but it's like it definitely, like, walking away was good. I walked away from social medias. I still barely get on either, Insta or Face. And I just learned to live more privately. And I think that was something for you too. You needed that time of living privately to recharge and recalibrate. But we still had this heart for, like, encouraging women. And this last year we decided to launch the podcast because you were still traveling. And we thought, oh, we can do this even remotely together. It would be a creative outlet and a way to kind of pour into the world around us. And did about 8 episodes over there, I think, when my dad passed away, and you ended up moving to be close to me again. And we're like, well, since we're close, why don't we go live like we used to? Because we did really enjoy doing those live chats.
Morning coffee chats,
So that brings us to here. And so we're excited to see how the Lord grows this. And I think I'm excited to see just what happens with it and what direction God takes it. Because that's so much of, with the business. I had my vision of my thoughts of what it was going to be. And it wasn't hardly any of it.
Right.
The majority of it was all God. And,
right.
And so with this too, it's like I have my ideas of what I'd like to see it be, but I'm also equally excited to see what God does with it and where He takes it. That's kind of my final thoughts. What are yours?
So mine would be, I shared all the thoughts about, running the shop and all that, and for me it was a little different. The time, as you said, it is a time. I don't want to say stealer, but it really,
it's a time, resource, energy sucker.
Yeah,
sure.
It is, and it consumed me because after you left,
it was all on you.
It was all on me, and I had prayed about it, and I absolutely knew, because I mean, my first response when she said that they prayed about it and they're moving was,
okay, I'm done.
That's it. Time to close the doors. And over the course of a few weeks, God really spoke to me, and I knew that Rustic wasn't done, that I wasn't done yet. And so, but with that, it became, I really need to, I got to get this thing to profitability. We got it to paying its own bills, but I really need to get it to profitability to justify my time because um, all my kids are gone.
Mm-hmm.
My grandkids are mostly scattered
Mm-hmm.
at this point, and my husband's working, try to make up for lost time between a period of layoff and we all know COVID kind of messed a lot of people up financially.
Mm-hmm.
My husband was in the high risk, so he couldn't work for about it was about 4.5 months, and then he barely got back to work, and that's when he had his heart attack in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of financial setbacks for us heading into retirement, and so I have to make it, and so that in turn, I poured more into it, and I loved every minute of it, and it was so cool um, seeing it become this hub in our community, in this
Mm-hmm.
little community. And we had been so like not on the radar.
Mm-hmm.
We had this group of loyal people, but it was growing day by day by
Mm-hmm.
day. And
It was a real like cult following.
yeah, and
Like
when
the movies talk about cult following on a cult. But like
but
yeah, it was a small group and it was growing every day, but it was very like quietly faithful following, loyal following.
I'm really trying to hold my emotion in check, but I really want to share this. um so for me it was my husband, we made that decision to retire abruptly because we realized that when you're young you think you talk about your retirement years, you talk about when we retire we're going to do all these things,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes life just doesn't work out to give you that time. And we recognize that our time was running short, and so if we were to have time for just us, we needed to act quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And but we still thought we had at least a few years. And so for me, um, when we made that decision, it was like no decision, and I had to go into quick action.
Mm-hmm.
I had to like boom, 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 and do it. And it wasn't until the shop actually closed that I fully felt
Mm-hmm.
the pain, and it was bitter, bitter sweet. Um, it's like choosing between two loves because that shop, that community, it was the
Mm-hmm.
people. It was the
Mm-hmm.
people. I loved the shop. I loved what I did,
Mm-hmm.
but it was the people. Um and feeling like I just yanked this thing out of my community that was there. It was more than just a place to shop. People came there for
Community.
community, and all of a sudden I just said, well, sorry. And so I like it was a very tumultuous emotional time for me, um because I I think a lot of people didn't even know what happened, like what happened, like you know and but it was a blessing because like you said, the rustic, it has evolved into the rustic ladies.
Mm-hmm.
And those women, they've worked hard to
Continue it.
continue
Mm-hmm.
that aspect and to draw new women in.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which I think carries on our vision
which
of
carries on, yeah.
encouraging and uplifting other women. So
um
that's been cool to see.
so um but I absolutely do not regret that decision,
Mm-hmm.
because we got 15 months
Mm-hmm.
together from the time that shop closed, and so and some of those months were kind of consumed by me processing
Processing.
all that grief. But so Rustic Girls is kind of it was more than just a um, persona we created for the business. I mean, it's who we are.
It's who we've always been.
It's who we've always been.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of
Since I
gave a
was a little girl,
name
I mean,
for
you're
it.
always being creative. You were always encouraging creativity and remaking old things. And,
Mm-hmm.
that's something that, like, from my childhood and those principles, those beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it absolutely is who we are, not just like fun branding.
And so here now, this is who we continue to be. We're
Mm-hmm.
here to show up,
Be
um,
honest, be real.
be honest, be real, talk about life
Yeah.
and all the things. And sometimes, you know, life, well, let's be honest, life is messy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If you're
Yep, I
not
promise
putting
that.
a sugar coating on it, life is
Yeah,
messy.
you're being honest.
And
It's messy.
so sometimes the tears flow, sometimes we, you know, trip over our words,
Yeah.
or kids knock on the
Mm-hmm.
door, or cats knock things over.
Yeah. So, I think we're excited to do this. We're excited to see what this becomes. If you have any questions, drop in the comments. It's something we've toyed with too. If anyone's interested, we might do one on being a small business owner, because there is a lot we learned in those like 10
Mm-hmm.
years. Um, yeah, there's a ton of mistakes we made in the beginning that really hurt our profitability. And then I think some of the ways we learned to still prioritize the people in the community. Because one of the things is, for me being a young mom, not well off, I wanted to have a beautiful home. And you go to the antique shops and it's like crazy expensive, even for the wholesale stuff, not even just the actual antique. And we tried really hard to, when we scored a vintage item for super cheap, like
We tried to pass
we
that
tried to
on.
pass that on and make it affordable. And so that was one of those things. It's like there are some things we probably could have made a lot more money on that we
Mm-hmm.
didn't, because we wanted to keep the prices low. And I think there's a balance
Mm-hmm. For
that
sure.
we learned towards the end there. Because if you don't make enough to keep the doors open, then what are we doing?
Yeah.
You can't serve anybody that way. So
Right.
if you're interested, let us know and we might prioritize doing that.
Mm-hmm. Do like a mini series or
Yeah,
something.
on some of the different aspects of being a small business owner, especially a small creative business owner. Um,
So if there's, and that goes with other topics. If there's
mhm.
other things that you'd like to,
We want to talk
and
about what you
it
want
would
to
be
talk
way
about.
more fun when we can
I
actually
know.
talk.
So, like we said, like, share, comment, all the things. Watch. We have to get to 50 subscribers to be able to go live.
Mm-hmm.
So be watching that number with us and be excited, because when we hit it, we're going to start going live every Saturday, which means it will be at 9 o'clock Mountain Time every Saturday instead of this very fluid, I'll post it when I post it time. We do try to record by 9 o'clock so that it gets us in the habit, though. So
Mm-hmm.
our hearts are at 9 a.m. You just don't see it till later in the day. But yeah, anyway, this is running long. So we hope you enjoyed hanging out with us and getting to know us a little bit better. And we'll see you next week. Bye,
Bye.
friends.